Great North Woods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a decision made by the Maine Supreme Judicial Court ruled that ranked choice voting will continue to be used for federal elections. We'll have the details ahead. Plus, advocates gathered at the State House to support a bill aimed to protect medical cannabis patients. And 2 Maine forest rangers were awarded yesterday for life-saving efforts. We'll bring you that story as well. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up. And as always, we thank you for joining us. The weather today looks like it'll be a partly cloudy day with temperatures reaching the 40s and maybe a slight chance of flurries later tonight. Let's start off this morning by getting a first check of our forecast. Chase Ropanek joins us now.
Thank you very much. Your morning weather is brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard. We stop ticks and mosquitoes, now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote at 207-263-3421. All right, so for those temperatures today, another cool one out there. We'll see highs reach back into the low 40s here in Bangor momentarily. We'll cool back off. Many of us surrounding Bangor are going to be a little bit cooler today, hanging out in the mid to upper 30s as we have some low pressure passing by the state for today. That will bring some rain and snow showers, staying light and scattered. Dew points still have to get up into the 20s once we get into the afternoon hours. Mainly going to see the scattered snow showers make their way here this evening here in Bangor. Could see a few rain showers out there before, but then to the early overnight hours for tonight. A few quick bursts of snow, not going to add up to much on the surface, and we'll see that pass by early on. A few breezy winds, and then they'll stay light throughout the rest of the night, leading to sunshine for your Wednesday and warmer temperatures as well. So that wind out there going to stay fairly light throughout the day. As you can see into the evening hours, still pretty light as the center of the low passes by. Once we get into the 10 o'clock hours, some winds can reach gusts near 20, but they will not last long at all. So for your hour-by-hour forecast for today, right around 1 o'clock, we'll reach near 40 degrees. Hang out there for a few hours, and the temperatures fall back into the 30s as we get a few chances for snow going into this evening.
Thank you, Chase. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first this morning, a decision handed down yesterday by the Maine Supreme Judicial Court means ranked choice voting will continue to be used only for federal election races. The state's high court had been asked to render a decision on whether a bill that sought to establish ranked choice voting for certain state offices complied with the Maine Constitution. The court concluded it does not. According to the court's decision, ranked choice voting has been used to elect U.S. senators, U.S. representatives, and presidents, but years ago was rejected as a means to elect state reps, senators, and governors. LD 1666 sought to reestablish ranked choice voting for these offices. But when the bill landed on the governor's desk last June, she questioned the bill's constitutionality. A joint decision from both houses of the legislature sent it to the High Court for consideration. The High Court has now concluded that the bill and the use of ranked choice voting for these state races would violate the Maine Constitution's requirement that those races be decided by a plurality of votes, not a majority, meaning the winner is the one who receives more votes than any other, but not necessarily a majority or more than half of all votes cast. The decision was unanimous. Meanwhile, Maine Republican Party Chairman Jim Deyermond spoke out praising the court's decision. In a statement, he said, quote, "Today is a good day. The Constitution of Maine is preserved and respected, and this decision proves clarity against efforts to pollute our state's elections with ranked choice voting. Even in times when we often mistrust our institutions, we can rely upon our Constitution and deliberative justices to render the correct decision," end quote. Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows also weighed in saying, quote, "Based on today's ruling, ranked choice voting will be used in the June primary but not in the November general election, just as it has been the case in prior elections. In essence, nothing has changed. Mainers have repeatedly supported the use of ranked choice voting, which empowers voters to vote for their preferred candidate without worrying that voting for their top choice might result in their least favorite winning," end quote. Meanwhile, public health advocates convened at the Hall of Flags at the State House yesterday to recognize National Public Health Week. 14 organizations from Maine's public health sector came together to address a wide variety of issues, such as food insecurity and protecting Maine's water from PFAS and radon. Many groups were also advocating for funding as well. According to the Maine Public Health Association, National Public Health Week aims to celebrate all the sector has accomplished to help keep our communities healthy and safe.
Really gives us a chance to, I think, uplift the hard work that people in public health do every day, oftentimes behind the scenes, that kind of grunt work behind the scenes to help protect our communities. And so we have a whole week that we get to dedicate to that. It's both to the work that we do and to the people who do that work.
More events are scheduled this week throughout the state, including a public health career panel this Thursday at the University of Maine in Orono. To learn more, you can visit mainepublichealth.org. Republicans spoke out at the State House to highlight the Rural Health Transformation Program, which they claim Governor Mills at one point jeopardized. In President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, $50 billion was earmarked for states to support rural health care, specifically rural hospitals. Roughly $200 million was supposed to be for the state of Maine. Republicans claim that the Mills administration missed repeated deadlines or milestones pertaining to that receiving of the funding. They did not cite specific examples. However, they lauded Senator Susan Collins for fighting for the state of Maine to get that funding and for making sure it wasn't lost.
She not only secured the $200 million earmark, but then now has had to play the role of Department of Health and Human Services bureaucrat too, just to save those funds and make sure that they actually make it into the state of Maine. And that's only a result of the fact that she happens to have a relationship with Dr. Oz over at the federal department and interceded on our behalf. Had she not done that, those funds would be gone.
Well, in other news this morning, a coalition of health professionals and child health advocates also gathered at the State House to support a bill that aims to protect medical cannabis patients. Opponents fear the bill would lead to increased costs that could impact small cannabis shops. Our Grace Blanchard with that story.
According to health leaders, Maine is the only state in the country where medical cannabis is not required to be tested and tracked. LD 1847 aims to change that.
We want to make sure that these very long overdue and basic patient protections are put in place.
Unlike adult use cannabis, medical cannabis is not required to be tested for harmful contaminants like pesticides, heavy metals, or mold. The bill's sponsor, Representative Annie Graham, says it would implement regulations that are in line with existing rules for recreational cannabis.
It improves safety and transparency in the medical cannabis program, something that is long overdue.
Advocates warn the current lack of oversight puts patients at risk, especially pediatric patients who don't have access to adult use cannabis.
Those patients have to navigate the gray zones of the medical cannabis industry and try to find product that is properly tested. That shouldn't be their problem. It should be a standard across the board.
The bill has received pushback from opponents who argue these efforts could drive up prices, impacting smaller cannabis shops.
This bill is a proxy fight for the large cannabis corporations trying to put the mom and pop growers out of business.
Representative Graham says the legislation would exempt small growers as long as they label products as untested, and grant opportunities will be available.
I recognize it is expensive, but that I think it's important for the safety of patients.
The bill is currently in the Veterans and Legal Affairs Committee and is expected to hit the House and Senate floors in the coming days. In Augusta, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, an annual campaign to honor survivors, lift up their voices, and bring communities together in the fight to prevent sexual violence. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the movement, recognized by the National Sexual Violence Resource Center. Local leaders with rape response services say the issue remains urgent, with 1 in 5 Mainers experiencing sexual violence at some point in their lives, making awareness more important than ever. The executive director says open conversation is key to ending that cycle.
It's a public health issue. We need to talk about public health issues in order to solve them together as communities. When we don't talk about it, it makes survivors feel shame and stigma, and that shame and stigma leads to silence, and that silence allows sexual violence to happen.
Today, April 7th, is a National Day of Action, with people encouraged to wear teal as a symbol of support for survivors and a commitment to prevention. If you or someone you know has been a victim of sexual assault and needs help, you can call the Maine Coalition Against Sexual Assault at 800-871-7741, which will connect you with a local advocate. You can find that information and more on the National Sexual Violence Resource Center or on our website at foxbangor.com. Well, 2 Maine forest rangers were honored yesterday for their life-saving efforts one day back in July that helped save a woman's life.
Will they please rise?
Well, the Maine Forest Ranger Sergeant Brian Getchell and Ranger Ryan Maker received that life-saving award. On July 16th of 2025, Getchell and Maker were conducting routine campsite checks along Machias River. They stumbled upon a couple. The female showed signs of discomfort and other worrying symptoms there. The Rangers recognized signs of a serious cardiac or neurological emergency and immediately took action. They called for assistance and moved her to a site where EMS could get them and then transport her to Bangor for care.
By recognizing critical symptoms early, initiating emergency response without delay, and guiding the patients to accessible medical care, Rangers Maker and Sergeant Getchell played a crucial role in preventing a potential fatal outcome.
Well, last week, Mount Desert Island High School was put in lockdown, but that was not the first time that the school has faced a hoax event. 3 years ago, when today's seniors were freshmen, they faced a similar situation. Officials say they learned a lot from the first emergency and revised how they respond. As our Alex Schley tells us, parents say the difference is clear.
Friday, Mount Desert Island High School was placed on lockdown after school administrators received what law enforcement initially believed was a credible threat. Several parents who spoke with ABC7 and Fox 22 Friday say they'd been through school emergencies before. On November 1st, 2022, Mount Desert Island High School went into a lockdown after administration received a similar threat. However, parents say that situation was handled much differently.
My stepdaughter was a freshman when that took place, and if they were outside, they had to just run.
Meanwhile, students inside were left in the dark for hours.
The teachers weren't telling us anything. We were getting updates from other students online.
When students were reunited with their families nearly 5 hours later, they say there was still very little information officials would give them. Since then, police and first responders say they've made changes focused on training, communication, and preparation.
We learned that any sort of event, it's really important that everybody knows what the protocols are and why they are the way they are. And we practice them as much as possible. And by doing that, that creates the atmosphere to know when that alarm goes off, they know what to do.
Bar Harbor police say in addition to refining their practices, since the 2022 lockdown, they have also attended additional training.
We actually just this spring have done a joint training drill with state agencies as well as us for these types of responses.
Parents say the changes in preparation showed.
You had to go through it already with your stepdaughter
3 years ago.
This time around, a little bit different.
A little bit more serious.
Friday's lockdown lasted less than 45 minutes. And before students left school, officials told them they believed the threat was a hoax. Parents say communication was also much better, with many saying they were able to speak directly with law enforcement. Parents say while the situation was still frightening, the response this time made all the difference. In Bar Harbor, Alex Schley for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
The time now is 6:13. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, a brewer business was recognized and credited for their technology services. We'll have the latest on that. But first, let's take another look at our forecast. If I can maybe see it. There we go. Mostly cloudy skies with a chance of rain and snow later on today, with temperatures right around 40 degrees. Overnight tonight, snow early with some clouds, temperatures dropping down to around 20. And for tomorrow, a fairly nice day, mostly sunny with highs around 45. We'll be right back.
Whitney Levitt, Mark Ballas, they lit up the dance floor. And now this week, they're together exclusively on Good Morning America, taking you behind the scenes of Chicago as they reunite on the Broadway stage. Whitney, Mark, igniting the morning, this week on GMA.
Need a safe and caring place for your loved one during the day? At the Merchant Center Adult Day program, we provide a supportive environment where adults can enjoy companionship, engaging activities, and personalized care in a setting that feels like home. Our experienced staff is committed to meeting each person's unique needs while promoting independence, dignity, and overall well-being. Families can feel confident knowing their loved ones are in compassionate, capable hands.
When you combine a fast-paced word game,
4 of them make $1.
Hoarders, hosted by Leah Remini.
What is swing? Did you just say what is?
Yes,
You just realized you're not on Jeopardy. Okay.
You've got a recipe for fun.
I got a few dances, Leah. I like to do this guy here. At weddings, I kill it.
You do not kill nothing with that.
People Puzzler.
Weekdays at 10 on ABC7.
The winning continues as we're springing forward all April long. Yes! Raul came back for the second night to add to his winnings from last night. How you feeling, Raul?
Feeling great. I feel pumped up. I'm ready.
Welcome back, everyone. A business in Brewer has plenty to be proud of after receiving a prestigious award. This company is credited with making technology that makes our U.S. military stronger. According to Senator Susan Collins' office, Compotech, a defense technology company based in Brewer, has been named the Small Business Administration's New England Small Business Manufacturer of the Year. Other SBA annual Small Business Award winners include Spud Speedway in Caribou, Fundamental Foot Care in Hamden, and Rick's Redemption in Presque Isle. Congratulations to all of those winners. Meanwhile, a heads up for anyone traveling through Bangor on Interstate 95, there is some scheduled road work in the area of Stillwater Avenue. The Maine DOT will begin clearing the median to start the process of replacing 3 major I-95 overpasses in Bangor. The Stillwater Ave Bridge will go from 2 bridges to a single span bridge. The Conduskeg Avenue Bridge will be replaced with a shorter, high-clearance bridge span, and there will be traffic updates from Maine DOT on their Facebook page and public social media. A local car dealership gave a boost to hospice volunteers of Hancock County so they can continue to help Mainers. Hospice volunteers support patients on palliative or hospice care and providers other services like lending out medical equipment, advanced care planning, and community education as well. Meanwhile, Stanley Subaru has been running up their Roundup for Change program, which asks guests to round up their purchases to the nearest dollar. The proceeds go to local nonprofits. The hospice organization says Stanley Subaru has been a steady source of support over the years.
We really do count on our donors. We count on sponsors from the community for our events. We count on organizations such as Stanley Subaru, again, who continues to just find ways to give to us. And this roundup for March is another way they've done that.
Hospice volunteers of Hancock County received a check for $625 from Stanley Subaru thanks to their Roundup for Change program. Well, it is one of the places that some almost fear these days, pulling up to a gas pump. Our friends at Gas Buddy took a look at the last week's surge in prices, and it's not looking too good. The research says that the average gasoline price in Maine has risen just under 14 cents per gallon in the last week, the average being at $3.96 a gallon. And the numbers don't get better from there. Maine is up 64.5 cents per gallon from a month ago. Meanwhile, the national average price of diesel has increased 20.7 cents compared to a week ago and now stands at $5.57 per gallon. The time now is 6:18. After the break, new pictures and details emerging from the Artemis crew, now heading back to Earth. Plus, popular Ellsworth business is now under new ownership. We'll tell you more as Good Morning Maine continues.
For the best selection in classic and contemporary furnishings, stop by Richard Parks Furniture on High Street in Ellsworth. Handcrafted New England-made bedrooms and dining rooms, imported Scandinavian recliners and upholstery, more than 40 lines of furniture for the home and patio. Richard Parks Furniture is your #1 stop for quality, functionality, and well-designed furniture at affordable prices. Richard Parks Furniture.
Discover Richard Parks.
132 High Street in Ellsworth.
Discover Richard.
Welcome to outdoor living. Welcome to Granville Stone and Hearth.
Goodness knows we've been cooped up long enough. Make plans now to enjoy the outside of your home, too. Come to Granville and see, touch, and imagine what you can do in your backyard. Light a path, light a fire, grill a meal, sit a bit. It's all in stock. There's a staycation right outside your door with expert help from Granville, one of the largest outdoor living suppliers in Maine. Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
I found the University Studies program, and the people were fantastic, and they helped me understand how I could really pretty easily become part of UMaine, become part of that program, and showed me that within about 2 years, I could have my degree. What I like about being able to study anywhere is probably this. I can literally be outside on the deck. I can be in my house. I can be in another country doing my schoolwork, and it just works really well for my for the life that I have.
After 30 years of serving classic Maine dishes, a popular Ellsworth restaurant is under new ownership, marking a big change for a longtime local favorite. Our Alexa Kennedy has more.
We've kind of been somewhat of a dinosaur. We haven't changed much over 30 years because when people come to Maine, they want a shore dinner, they want lobster stew, they want a lobster roll, they want blueberry pie, so we give them what they want.
Brian Langley built the business in 1996 on a former fish market site in Ellsworth. Buyer Diwa Tepa, who Langley says has extensive experience in hospitality, plans to keep much of what customers have come to love.
We wanted to invest in our community in Ellsworth, sees us very viable, loves what we do, and the reputation and the people that work for us and our customers.
Langley says he passed down multiple award-winning top-secret recipes that he hopes customers will continue to enjoy. He says he appreciated getting the opportunity to impact his community.
But when I look at all the people that have come through here in 30 years, we've had doctors, lawyers, nurses, and all of these kids started their very first job here at the restaurant, bussing tables, washing dishes, waiting tables through college.
In Ellsworth, Alexa Kennedy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The time now is 6:21. Let's get a full look at our forecast. Meteorologist Chase Ropanek is in with the latest.
All right, thank you very much. Your main weather for this morning is brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard as well. We stopped ticks and mosquitoes, now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote at 207-263-3421. All right, so those temperatures for today will reach into the low 40s. Some pretty cloudy skies will be making their way in this afternoon as we have some low pressure arriving for today. So you can see off to the west, you're getting the clouds earlier on, keeping you in the mid to upper 30s out there for today and hanging out in the mid to upper 20s well further north as well. So our average highs this time are around 49. Definitely not doing that for today or tomorrow as well, even though we'll have sunshine, but that sunshine continues into your Thursday and Friday. So temperatures continue to increase as well. We could be reaching your 60 for your Friday afternoon. We'll have a cold front pass through Friday night, bringing some showers to the area, so we're cooling off momentarily Saturday. But then Sunday and Monday, we're warming right back up with those mid to upper 50s, staying above average into next week. So wind out there for today, going to stay fairly light throughout this morning into the afternoon hours. You can see here at 5 o'clock, pretty light winds here, especially along your coastline as well. But that will be the center of the low passing by, and maybe some scattered snow showers out there at this time of the day. As we get into tonight's, right around 10 o'clock, the backside of that low pressure will be passing by, so momentarily winds can gust near 20 miles per hour, maybe 30 near your coastline. But again, as we get into your Wednesday morning, they're going to lighten up and stay a little breezy at times, maybe gusting near 15 miles per hour, but otherwise pretty light throughout your Wednesday afternoon. So as we see out there for today, here comes the clouds making their way in right around noon, and will stay cloudy throughout the rest of the day. And yes, scattered snow showers. Some of us can stay dry. It depends on where your dew points are at. It is going to be hard for this to reach a surface at first, but then right around 5 o'clock or so, they'll have some better chances for that precipitation to reach a surface. And around 10 o'clock tonight, a few quick bursts of snow passing on by, but then the rest of the night we're staying dry. Cooler temperatures falling to the upper teens and low 20s for lows, but as we head into your Wednesday afternoon, plenty of sunshine out there. That's going to warm us up back into the mid-40s, and we're going to keep the high pressure in place. Plenty of sunshine for your Thursday all the way into your Friday as well. So for today, highs near 40 degrees. We've got a few rain and snow showers we can see late in the day. Otherwise, we'll see increasing clouds becoming mostly cloudy. As we go into tonight's, some quick bursts of snow early on, then decreasing clouds and cooling off with lows just near 20 degrees. For tomorrow, that sunshine is here. The high pressure is settling in. We'll see highs right around 45. So take a a look at your extended forecast. We're going to continue to slowly warm up with the sunshine for your Wednesday. Your Thursday into your Friday will be reaching near 60 degrees then. We'll see a few rain showers Friday night, and that will cool us off Saturday with cloudy skies and highs near 47 degrees.
I'm Barry Higgins from Maple Lane Farm. We have our own beef herd here. We're on about 800 head, and it's raised right here on the farm. And we go direct to the consumer. No middleman, all natural, good old-fashioned Maine beef. Our quality is unbeatable. We have specials on Facebook every week. We guarantee our product 100%, whether it be beef, pork, or chicken. And we have a small selection of lamb also.
Maple Lane Farm, a candy store for a carnivore.
Looking for a great glass at prices that don't break the bank? The Cheese House in Fairfield has you covered. From classic designs to unique styles, our huge selection of quality glassware is perfect for every taste and every budget. Friendly staff, honest pricing, and new pieces arriving all the time. There's always something fresh to see. Stop into the Cheese House at 5 Pike Drive, Fairfield. Great glass, great prices, and a great time.
This is Maine. Wild, real, undeniably bold, with deep roots and endless horizons. From Acadia to Katahdin, from labs to lobster boats, this is where you push limits, explore new ideas, and discover your potential. So call it grit, call it pride, call it ingenuity. Whatever it is, you've got it. This is Maine. Claim your place.
Winter is flu season, and not only that, but COVID is still with us, as is RSV. Remember, it takes your body about 2 weeks after you get any vaccination to ramp up those antibodies. Now is the time for you and your family to get vaccinated against the flu, COVID, and RSV. Updated vaccines are now available for flu and COVID-19, and depending on your age, active steps you can take to prevent RSV. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist. A message from the Maine CDC, this station, and the Maine Association of Broadcasters.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Now to the war in Iran. Today is the deadline set by President Trump for Iran to make a deal that includes opening the Strait of Hormuz or face steep consequences. The president essentially threatening to blow up the entire country, including critical infrastructure like bridges and power plants, marking his most striking escalation yet. Iran responding overnight to the president's threats. ABC's Olivia Rubin has the details.
This morning, deadline day. President Trump giving Iran until 8 p.m. tonight to make a deal to end the war and open the Strait of Hormuz, or he will, quote, take the entire country out.
Where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition by 12 o'clock.
Some raising questions about the legality of an attack on civilian infrastructure. The president, though, dismissing those concerns.
Are you concerned that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to war crimes?
No, not at all. No, I'm not.
Trump laser focused on reopening the Strait of Hormuz, the critical waterway for the passage of 20% of the world's oil. The closure sending global oil prices skyrocketing. Here at home, a gallon of gas averaging $4.13 this morning. Trump insisting Iran wants a deal. But overnight, Iran responding, a spokesperson slamming the, quote, rude rhetoric, arrogance, and baseless threats of the delusional U.S. president. And Iran continuing to show its firepower. New video online showing one of Iran's multiple strikes in the region targeting energy infrastructure, an oil facility in Bahrain. Meanwhile, the military sharing new details of the extraordinary rescue of a U.S. airman trapped in the Iranian mountains for more than 2 days after his fighter jet was downed.
He scaled cliff faces, bleeding rather profusely, treated his own wounds, and contacted American forces to transmit his location.
And the president has had mixed messages here about whether the war is winding down or escalating. Trump now saying point blank he doesn't know, adding this is a critical period. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
Now to the backlash over plans to build a new data center in one city that could help fuel artificial intelligence. The debate apparently sparking violence. ABC's Hannah Battah with more.
The FBI is now investigating after more than a dozen shots were fired into the home of an Indianapolis city councilor.
My son was at home, so that says a lot about his humanity or her humanity. I don't know if it's a male or female. I don't know who it is, but I would just want to know why.
Ron Gibson says 13 shots were fired into his door, and a note was found reading "No data centers." Days earlier, he voiced support for a controversial plan to build a local data center, a project like hundreds of others nationwide that have become a flashpoint in the race to further develop artificial intelligence.
Construction is expected to support roughly 300 jobs over a 3-year period.
Despite the opposition,
if you were here against the project, quietly stand up.
The project is moving forward. Right now, about 3,000 data centers are being built or planned across the country. They use huge amounts of electrical power, often requiring costly upgrades to local power grids and higher electric bills for local residents.
People's energy bills around the country are skyrocketing.
Some Democrats want new regulations, but President Trump recently announced tech companies have agreed to absorb the costs.
These companies are committing to provide or pay for all power generation and electricity needed for their AI projects.
Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
New images and new details from the Artemis II mission to the moon. The crew seeing something no human has ever seen before. ABC's Sophie Flay with the latest.
The Artemis II crew is heading back towards Earth after their historic trip around the far side of the moon, going deeper into space than anyone ever before.
Integrity crew on April 15th, 1970, during the Apollo 13 mission. 3 explorers set the record for the farthest distance humans have ever traveled from our home planet. Today, for all humanity, you're pushing beyond that frontier.
For several hours, the crew took turns observing features on the moon never seen by human eyes, capturing high-resolution images while narrating what they were seeing.
The view of the South Pole is quite amazing.
Mission Commander Reed Weissman's excitement while approaching the moon prompted NASA to give this reply.
Kathy Moonjoy.
Now, those words, Moonjoy, have become a catchphrase of the mission, with t-shirts already being sold online. The astronauts also got to view this incredible total solar eclipse when the Orion spacecraft, moon, and sun all aligned. But the day was also marked by somber moments. The team embracing after they suggested naming a crater on the moon for Weissman's wife, Carol, who died of cancer.
It's a bright spot on the moon, and we would like to call it Carol.
Mission specialist Christina Cook noted the moon looked very different up close, observing shades of brown and blue instead of the familiar gray. The 4 astronauts lost contact with mission control during an expected communications blackout, while the moon blocked their signal. They came back online after about 45 minutes. Overnight, President Trump called in to congratulate the crew.
You've really inspired the entire world. Really, everybody's watching.
Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Coming up on the second half of the newscast, kids in Colorado got treated to an extreme Easter egg hunt in cowboy fashion. This and more as Good Morning Maine continues.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
Give your home or business a clean slate. From roofs to carpets, siding to storefronts, we clean it all, inside and out. Locally owned, fully insured, and committed to quality. No job too big or small. Message us on Facebook at Clean Slate Services 207 or call 207-631-0500 for a free estimate. Clean Slate Services. Your property renewed.
Every year, communities recognize outstanding service with the Spirit of America Foundation Tribute. Do you know a local person or group that goes above and beyond for others? Nominate them today by contacting a select person, city or town councilor. Help honor those who make a difference where you live. For more information, visit spiritofamerica.website.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. A major rescue mission just came to its conclusion in New York City, and it involved a wayward parakeet. It took a whole team of folks over nearly 3 months to make sure one parakeet could be safe and sound. ABC's Danny New with that story.
This is May May, who seems to love dancing to Taylor Swift's newest album, but who for months was also flying around New York Central Park without a home.
That's the story of May May, is that everybody contributed sightings.
This story begins in late August when J.P. Boromir joined the rescue mission to catch this parakeet before it got cold.
We can never know where May May actually came from, but May May is a budgie or a parakeet, which means she should be in Australia.
Liz Cabrera-Holtz from the nonprofit World Animal Protection says May May most likely was abandoned or escaped from a pet store, and they've seen similar reports that did not end well when the weather turned cold. However, JP and her friends were determined to not let that happen.
Sean and I were out there, pretty much almost every day.
While May May was cozying up to a flock of sparrows for warmth, JP was making maps like these almost every day to track her movements. Finally, after 10 weeks, May May got comfortable on the ground long enough for JP to come over and drop the net swiftly.
Was that like one of the best moments of your life?
Yeah. Probably the best moment of my life.
For the next 5 months at JP's apartment, May May got to enjoy plenty of snacks. And yes, Taylor Swift sing-alongs, before at last, a few months ago, when a spot opened up at a wildlife sanctuary in Rhode Island called Foster Parrots. JP and Liz drove up to drop her off at her new forever home. And as you can see, she's already got plenty of new buddies in a nice, temperature-controlled environment. And JP and Liz told me there were a lot of close calls with May May. There was apparently a falcon that was trying to get after her. They had to chase May May out of the street to save her from a car at one point, not to mention the incoming cold of winter. So thank you, JP's net. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Chase Ropanek.
Thank you very much. Your morning weather is brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard. We stop ticks and mosquitoes, now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote at 207-263-3421. All right, so for those temperatures today, another cool one out there. We'll see highs reach back into the low 40s here in Bangor momentarily. We'll cool back off. Many of us surrounding Bangor are going to be a little bit cooler today, hanging out in the mid to upper 30s as we have some low pressure passing by the state for today. That will bring some rain and snow showers, staying light and scattered. Dew points still have to get up into the 20s once we get into the afternoon hours. Mainly going to see the scattered snow showers make their way here this evening here in Bangor. Could see a few rain showers out there before, but then to the early overnight hours for tonight. A few quick bursts of snow, not going to add up to much on the surface, and we'll see that pass by early on. A few breezy winds, and then they'll stay light throughout the rest of the night, leading to sunshine for your Wednesday and warmer temperatures as well. So that wind out there going to stay fairly light throughout the day. As you can see, into the evening hours, still pretty light as the center of the low passes by. Once we get into the 10 o'clock hours, some winds can reach gusts near 20, but they will not last long at all. So for your hour-by-hour forecast for today, right around 1 o'clock, we'll reach near 40 degrees. Hang out there for a few hours, and the temperatures fall back into the 30s as we get a few chances for snow going into this evening.
Thank you, Chase. Now for the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Melissa Dawn.
Grammy Award winners Lady Gaga and Doechii have teamed up for a song for The Devil Wears Prada 2. A sneak peek of the song can be heard at the end of the final trailer for the highly anticipated sequel, which was released on Monday. The Devil Wears Prada 2 is set to release on May 1st. Disney is the parent company of 20th Century Studios and ABC News.
The sky is darkening and the beast is close at hand.
Netflix has released their first trailer for Lord of the Flies. The Emmy Award-winning co-creator of Adolescence, Jack Thorne, has adapted the dystopian classic for the silver screen. Lord of the Flies is set to premiere on May 4th. And happy birthday to Academy Award winner Francis Ford Coppola, who is 87 today. That's what's happening in Hollywood. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports. Don't go away.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna. Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers central and eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters turn scrap into cash. Are you in need of remodeling your bathroom? Want to convert your tub into a safe walk-in shower? Call the experts at Bangor Bathrooms by Design now. They offer complete bathroom remodels, and from start to finish, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call them now and save thousands. 659-6457. Enjoy that brand new bathroom you've always wanted from Bangor Bathrooms by Design. Transforming bathrooms, elevating lives. The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
Welcome back in, folks. I hope you had a great first weekend of April, because Cooper Flagg certainly did. After becoming the first teenager to score 51 points on Friday night, Flagg was right back at it on Easter Sunday. 34-128 win over the Lakers. Cooper Flagg poured in 45 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds, including 19 of those 45 points in the first quarter. He picked up right where he left off, and the Mavs needed all of it to get past the Lakers on Sunday. He outdueled one of the greatest of all time in LeBron James, who scored 30. Here's Flagg on playing against one of the game's legends.
You know, I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, you know, he's somebody that, when I was a little kid, you know, watching him go through his whole career. So it's really impressive, obviously, first of all, just to watch him and see him be able to do the things that he's, you know, still able to do out there. But, you know, it's a dream come true. You know, these are the moments, these are the times, like, to be able to match up against somebody like that, you know, the career he's had, he's obviously one of the greatest. So it's incredible.
So it's 96 points the last 2 games for Cooper Flagg as the season's winding down. Going into the weekend, and even before Sunday night's game, Flagg was trailing his good friend Con Knippel in the Rookie of the Year odds. But after his monster weekend, he's become the betting favorite. Flagg was asked about what sort of statement he made this past weekend.
I think it's definitely, you know, some sort of statement. But, you know, it just goes back to what I said. You know, I'm confident in myself, and, you know, I know what I'm capable of, and I'll just let the rest of the stuff figure itself out.
You knew Coop had a little bit more up his sleeve. Well, it's the men's college national championship. It goes down on Monday night, but on Sunday afternoon, a champion was crowned in the women's game. The UCLA Bruins won their first title in the NCAA era, blowing the doors off South Carolina 79-51. a result that came as a shock to some Hoops fans as South Carolina was coming off a win over the undefeated UConn Huskies. UCLA never trailed in the contest. The Bruins had 5 players in double figures led by Gabriela Jaquez, who scored 21 points to go along with 10 rebounds. It was the first title for Coach Corey Close, who took over at UCLA in 2011. One of the best coaches in the sport without a title now has one, and she did it her way, pouring everything she has into relationships with players, making them realize they're people before players. Here she is post-game with her mom by her side.
It's immeasurably more than I could ask or imagine. It's beyond my wildest dreams. But it's meaningful because of the people I've gotten to share it with. It's all about the heart. And it would be shallow without an amazing village and incredible people that have poured into me my whole life.
Truly such a cool moment. Well, opening day was celebrated less than 2 weeks ago. I've talked to some Red Sox fans who are already sick of watching this team play. Following Sunday's 8-6 loss to the Padres, the Red Sox moved to 2-7. They currently stand alone in the basement as they're the only team in the league who doesn't have 3 or more wins. The Sox have a .226 batting average going into Monday as a team, paired with a .471 team ERA. Now, it is very early in the Sox, and the Sox could easily turn things around. However, the performances on both sides of the ball are extremely concerning for Sox fans, even given the small sample size. Sox star Roman Anthony says they need some urgency.
It's as disappointing as any loss, to be honest. It's not one man's fault. I think just as a team, we need to be better. I need to be better. Everyone in this room understands that they need to be better. We need to find a way to just bring more energy and just be better. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable to the fans. It's unacceptable to the standard that we set for ourselves.
And shocker, the Sox fell to the Brewers on Monday night, make that 2-8 as the struggles continue. The Portland Sea Dogs will host New Hampshire tomorrow afternoon at Delta Dental Park in the team's long-awaited home opener. The brand new field at Hadlock is already in great shape. The Sea Dogs grounds crew putting the final touches on Monday afternoon. It'll be a 4 p.m. start on Tuesday where kids can get in free of charge. You may want to bundle up, though, as it's going to be pretty chilly out there. Some of the Sea Dogs hitters were asked how difficult it is going from the mid-80s to the low 40s while still trying to hit a baseball.
It takes at least a month or two for me to kind of get acclimated to it again. Definitely was a big shock last year coming up here and having snow opening day. Having the snow come down for that first home game was definitely just a big culture shock to me. But then just kind of after a couple months getting kind of used to it again.
I think it's pretty different, and in Florida it's a little bit easier to get warm, but here you have to commit to stretch your body because that's your business.
Snow baseball at Hadlock in April, a tradition like no other. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
You come to a credit union to work because you actually like helping people.
You get to be a part of really life-changing moments.
It builds a really rewarding professional career.
And that's why I like credit unions.
When I had first left for college, I was super excited to start pursuing my dreams. And I had met so many amazing people my freshman year. Yeah, some days were really hard, balancing work life and classes, but most of them, they were the best of my life because I had something not everyone gets. A dad inspiring me every step of the way. And I'm so happy to graduate beside you.
Hey! That ought to do it.
Who hurt you?
I love baseball cards. Recently, I had a collection that I sold to an online buyer. I went to the credit union to cash the check. I had a good conversation with them, and they told me that this was likely an overpayment scam. They're really great about explaining it so that I have the resources to help myself in the future.
Welcome back, everyone. Kids in Colorado got treated to an extreme Easter egg hunt. This one didn't involve just hiding eggs in the grass. It's about strapping eggs to bowls. The wild hunt was hosted by 4 Bars Gathering Church. Fox photojournalist Michelle Wells shows us firsthand how the Steel City celebrated Easter in cowboy style.
I did have a lot of fun. I wasn't able to get an egg off the bowl, but I did have a lot.
All churches celebrate on Easter. It's kind of the Super Bowl for churches, to be honest. And but we, being a cowboy style church, is that we do things a little differently. Our culture is a little different.
My strategy is grab an egg. Do not get ran over.
Miniature bulls in the arena at the same time as we have people out there, and so it can be a little dangerous, but cowboys do crazy things. That's just kind of our culture.
I felt scared a little. Yeah, because it kind of went towards me, but I just rebuked him.
I do believe that the cowboy life in the rodeo arena is symbolic for a lot of things in life out here. Just because we believe in God doesn't mean everything happens perfectly for us. We can get run over in life, we can get stomped on, we can fall down, but we get back up.
And while the Easter egg hunt looked extreme, don't worry, no one got hurt. And of course, everyone signed a waiver first, and first responders were on standby just in case things got out of hand there. Well, now here's meteorologist Chase Ropanek with our full weather forecast.
All right, thank you very much. Your main weather for this morning is brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard as well. We stop ticks and mosquitoes, now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote at 207-263-3421. All right, so those temperatures for today will reach into the low 40s. Some pretty cloudy skies will be making their way in this afternoon as we have some low pressure arriving for today. So you can see off to the west, you're getting the clouds earlier on, keeping you in the mid to upper 30s out there for today and hanging out in the mid to upper 20s well further north as well. So our average highs this time are around 49. Definitely not doing that for today or tomorrow as well, even though we'll have sunshine, but that sunshine continues into your Thursday and Friday. So temperatures continue to increase as well. We could be reaching your 60 for your Friday afternoon. We'll have a cold front pass through Friday night, bringing some showers to the area, so we're cooling off momentarily Saturday. But then Sunday and Monday, we're warming right back up with those mid to upper 50s, staying above average into next week. So wind out there for today, going to stay fairly light throughout this morning into the afternoon hours. You can see here at 5 o'clock, pretty light winds here, especially along your coastline as well. But that will be the center of the low passing by, and maybe some scattered snow showers out there at this time of the day. As we get into tonight's right around 10 o'clock, the backside of that low pressure will be passing by, so momentarily winds can gust near 20 miles per hour, maybe 30 near your coastline. But again, as we get into your Wednesday morning, they're going to lighten up and stay a little breezy at times, maybe gust near 15 miles per hour, but otherwise pretty light throughout your Wednesday afternoon. So as we see out there for today, here comes the clouds making their way in right around noon, and will stay cloudy throughout the rest of the day. And yes, scattered snow showers. Some of us can stay dry. It depends on where your dew points are at. It is going to be hard for this to reach a surface at first, but then right around 5 o'clock or so, they'll have some better chances for that precipitation to reach a surface. And around 10 o'clock tonight, a few quick bursts of snow passing on by, but then the rest of the night we're staying dry. Cooler temperatures fall into the upper teens and low 20s for lows, but as we head into your Wednesday afternoon, plenty of sunshine out there. That's going to warm us up back into the mid-40s, and we're going to keep the high pressure in place. Plenty of sunshine for your Thursday all the way into your Friday as well. So for today, highs near 40 degrees. We've got a few rain and snow showers we can see late in the day. Otherwise, we'll see increasing clouds becoming mostly cloudy. As we go into tonight's some quick bursts of snow early on, then decreasing clouds and cooling off with lows just near 20 degrees. For tomorrow, that sunshine is here. The high pressure is settling in. We'll see highs right around 45. So taking a look at your extended forecast. We're going to continue to slowly warm up with the sunshine for your Wednesday. Your Thursday into your Friday will be reaching near 60 degrees then. We'll see a few rain showers Friday night, and that will cool us off Saturday with cloudy skies and highs near 47 degrees.
Davis Brothers Furniture is expanding. At Davis Brothers, we've always strived to stand out from the rest, and we are now proud to offer flooring for your home, featuring both carpeting and luxury vinyl flooring. We even have an installer in-house with over 30 years of experience. Come see the reason people have been traveling from all over the state and beyond to Davis Brothers Furniture in Guilford for decades. Davis Brothers Furniture, deliberately different, delivering statewide.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
For the perfect floral arrangement, look no further than Luigi & Fredericks in Bangor. Our expert florists beautifully arrange flowers for any celebration or occasion. Trust Luigi & Fredericks for bouquets that brighten anyone's day.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Let your creativity run free at the Creative Arts Center, where we offer fun and affordable activities for all ages. Birthday parties, pottery wheel classes, painting lessons, or just for the fun of it. Get fired up for glazing projects as well as acrylics. We offer a wide selection of ceramic products for you to choose from, and we have thousands of pieces ready to paint. We are a Paragon kiln dealer and a Laguna Clay distributor. Stop by the Creative Arts Center today, located just off the Joshua Chamberlain Bridge in Brewer. The Creative Arts Center, where your only limitation is your imagination.
Every day is a Carhartt day. From the lecture hall to the lab, hard work pays off. And whether we're perfecting our designs or just kicking back, we do it in style. Carhartt style. Carhartt from Miller's Workshop in Brewer.
My daughter needs her father. Tell me what happened to Roman.
You were putting baby Chloe in danger?
Don't say my kids' names.
I'm trying to warn you.
A little girl from California is giving back to her community by bringing sweet treats to essential workers. 6-year-old Girl Scout Ariana Ogden donated a whopping 24 cases of Girl Scout cookies to employees at Shasta Regional Medical Center in Redding, California on Monday. As for area's fundraising efforts, when people turn down buying cookies, she asked them to make a donation instead to the Cookies for Heroes campaign. Her hard work ended up paying off at the medical center.
It was a lot of work and it was really hard because not everybody wanted to buy Girl Scout cookies.
Hospital staff received the cookies from Area as a special thank you for their work in the community. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning, but as always, we thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
County Federal Credit Union, we value the trust our members place in us to act in their best interest. Whether it's providing low rates on consumer loans or raising money to end hunger, we work hard to serve our members and the communities in which they live. We are excited to bring the meaningful and impactful work we do to all Mainers as we continue to grow. Wherever you are in life's journey, count on the county to be your financial partner.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Let your creativity run free at the Creative Arts Center, where we offer fun and affordable activities for all ages. Birthday parties, pottery wheel classes, painting lessons, or just for the fun of it. Get fired up for glazing projects as well as acrylics. We offer a wide selection of ceramic products for you to choose from, and we have thousands of pieces ready to paint. We are a Paragon kiln dealer and a Laguna Clay distributor. Stop by the Creative Arts Center today, located just off the Joshua Chamberlain Bridge in Brewer. The Creative Arts Center, where your only limitation is your imagination.
I know that you're sitting right in front of me, but can I say hi to Douglas?
Obviously.
Hey, gorgeous. Hi, Douglas.
Douglas is making this interview super fun. When I rescued him, he was 8 weeks old.
I'm being licked right in here.
Dougie's really the star.
Where does the dog go after the show?
My house.
Weekdays at 11 on Fox 22.
Good Morning Maine on WFVX, Fox 22. From the Great Northwoods to the Rock Mountain Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a decision made by the Maine Supreme Judicial Court ruled that ranked choice voting will continue to be used for federal elections. We'll have the details ahead. Plus, advocates gathered at the State House to support a bill aimed to protect medical cannabis patients. And 2 Maine forest rangers were awarded yesterday for life-saving efforts. We'll bring you that story as well. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up. And as always, we thank you for joining us. The weather today looks like it'll be a partly cloudy day with temperatures reaching the 40s and maybe a slight chance of flurries later on tonight. Let's start off this morning by getting a first check of our forecast. Chase Ropanek joins us now.